Yeah, I suppose so.
Resident Evil.
What bad about ESA? Mm, they try. And they try in some ways that I actually find positive. Like, they're more open to a wider selection of games. They fall less prey to propping up, well, they've fallen in the past, less prey to propping up other types of runs in favor of, like, the big games. Scheduling notwithstanding, I still seem to get the shit hours at ESA, but, horror games. I kind of expect the night hours for horror, and I'm like a night owl, so I don't really mind my time slot that much. Although, seeing some runners bitch that they got pushed out of prime time because of some of the delays was remarkably tone deaf. Like, remarkably tone deaf. But I'm always scheduled for, like, the shit hour, so I'm, like, resolutely unsympathetic towards time slot griping. Yeah, PC and PS1 jank is very strong in the European scene. And that's just the kind of thing our culture likes, and that it's not represented with very much prominence in GDQ, partially because of the American thing, but also partially because they have branded around a very specific sort of image. I'm a bit bent out of shape out of fucking Devil Hunter not getting met. Because do you know it's actually quite rare that incentives don't get met at GDQ? Like, for an incentive to not get met is mostly a failure of production. But it's actually pretty rare that an incentive doesn't get met at a GDQ. I think at SGDQ, like the last one I went to, SGDQ 19, there were no incentives that didn't get met, aside from one they put in as like a last ditch on like a Zelda, I think, because they do that. They do that, by the way. They'll make an incentive up on the fucking spot, announce it during the run, and then be like, oh, push for this like crazy incentive, guys. Like how like had like Uyama walk onto the stage to fucking announce that they had two incentives going for. God damn, they had two incentives going for a Zelda and a Mario. And it's like, of course those incentives get more fucking weight. You interrupted the event to announce them. No shit. And then people have the balls to be like, well, these games raise the most money, and it's like, yeah, because they are given significantly more emphasis by the production. No fucking shit. Some things are not allowed to fail. Is the general thrust there? It's hella not a level playing field. I've never had to deal with this because again, I don't tend to submit incentives. Again, I mostly consider it a issue of presentation when incentives are not met, because the money flow is there in like almost all cases. The thing is, like, I don't tend to prefer to incentivize like difficulty settings that would be cool or whatever. I would just prefer to do the run in the setting that I think is the coolest. That's just how I am. I've submitted ideas for donation incentives before, but they never seem to go with them. Predictable. the FF8 runner didn't get an 18-month ban for lying about his times. He got an 18-month ban for having a bunch of fucking anti-feminist shit all over his Twitter. And, like, multiple news outlets, like, real ones, not like gaming news articles, like an actual news outlet, went with the headline, GDQ allows right-wing nationalists to run 8-hour game at event, and it's like, that looked fucking bad for them. And they still let him do the run for some reason. This was widely publicized before the run even started, by the way. Like, this was... They knew, and I know GDQ knew. I know they knew, because I told Maddie. They extremely knew. But they didn't do it. For some reason, they just let him do the run and then banned him, and it's like, that's weird. Somehow that's the worst of both worlds. Yeah, I think it's because Final Fantasy, which I think is probably the most blatant I've seen them be about, like, ditching their principles in favor of of what makes the money. And it's like, are we really doing that? Because, like, I honestly thought one of the good points of GDQ is that if you know, are a fucking twat, they will get rid of you no matter how important you are. And there were more than enough games on backup to fill the space, so I don't really get it. I'm not sure I understand. And this is all in spite of the fact that when it comes to sort of like my own runs that I do at GDQ, my own productions, I'm treated pretty well by the GDQ staff. Relatively speaking, anyway. Again, I'm like friends with like a lot of them. They're nice people. Like, I don't know, it's weird fielding that position. Motherfucker, that's... Okay, that's trash. That's significant time loss. From that non-fucking bite. God, you move so fucking slowly. I don't think I'm very nice people. Bleh. Time to lose more time. What's my PB? It's on the screen. I'm not even sure what it is that I... Like, what is it that I want out of this in the end? I need to think about that. I mean, obviously I want a greater representation of different things, because there are lots of good things that are not given the time of day in favor of doing the same thing over and over again. That's easy to pinpoint. But what does that look like? Incidentally, that's why ESA has been disappointing me on the regular lately, because they have been repeatedly going more in the direction of, like, hyping up that same bullshit. Especially, like, they on their Twitter's like, oh, we're going to announce the biggest thing we've ever done. And then it turned out to be a Mario 64, quote, tournament. That did not hit. What is wrong with this game? That's happened twice now. That attack isn't even coming close to making contact, but it's somehow hitting. Okay, the RA forum from ESA as well is double Dutch stupid because they knew that fucking guy was an issue because I warned them super far in advance, and when it fucked up, I was in like full I fucking told you so mode. As in like, I was like, you're gonna want to check out that fucking run, dude. And he was like, why? What happened? I was like, he did exactly what I said he would do. Because he is shit. They put a run on by... ESA put a run of Resident Evil 4 on by a guy who is a massive shitter and should have been banned from the event, like, yesterday. But ESA has been perpetually unwilling to actually make changes like that. Because sometimes that fucking thing has no balls. Who was the guy? I didn't tell you his name. You can look it up yourself if you're that interested, but he sucks. He spent the whole run making horrible, bad taste jokes about suicide and generally being self-deprecating. A few tasteless gay jokes as well while he was at it, because, you know, cool guy. What a nice person. Like, just so we're clear as well on this, I have personal beef with that fucking guy. I want to punch him in his mouth. I hate him. Like, I have personally interacted with him. I think he's a fucker. Possibly one of the, like, the worst people I've ever had the displeasure of interacting with in this hobby. Ban him from every event worth a shit, do not come back. Edgelord piece of trash. Personality clash is one thing, but he also threw food at me once. Because he thought it would be funny. I very nearly socked him in the fucking mouth that day, and I didn't want to get banned, so I didn't. Hooray. He did not get banned, by the way, for throwing food at me. Shockingly, because ESA has no balls. Zero. They have negative ball sacks. I don't know how old he is. Yeah, ESA put on a run by that guy. Even though this is a person who had been banned from the hosting desk prior because he kept saying stupid shit. And it's like, why did you let him have a run? And then predictably, when he did his run, he fucked it up royally. It wasn't even a good run. He's not very good at his game. Somehow that offends me more than everything else. What game? Resident Evil 4. So, predictably, that didn't go very well. What the fuck? And then by the end of it, I was like, I told you that was gonna go terribly. And then they had to apologize, like, for the... Well, they didn't have to, I guess, but they did apologize it. They did apologize for it on stream, and it's like, just why did you let him do it in the first place? I told you it was going to be an issue, and I was right. Like, just, why do people not listen to me so frequently when I'm so often right? So, ESA has an issue with not vetting their runner standards properly, to say the least. Often contrary to any sense of logic. And lately they've been propping up different popular things in service to trying to grow their own brand. They're pulling a GDQ, basically. Like, they announced the Super Mario 64 tournament, which, you know, has the stank of a certain cheese all over it, so that has its own issues, because that guy sucks. And they've also been propping up Large Jonathan lately. Or Big John, you know, like... They more or less let Big John do whatever he likes at this event, at that event, because he's a big popular figure and he seems willing to give them the time of day. And Big John seems like a nice lad, you know? Like, just so we're clear here, I have no quarrel with Big John either. He seems like a nice guy. But the point is that they do hype him up quite a fucking bit. okay. Like, again, at the expense of everyone else, like, they kind of hype up Big John's thingamabob because he's popular and cool and all that stuff. So, you know, he gets afforded the event hype, as it were, which, like, is like, don't like that. Don't like that. Even though, like, I have no issue with the runner in this particular instance. Seems like a nice... I hope you understand my thrust here, yes? Seriously? He seems like a nice guy. I've never actually really spoken to Big John, but fuck, no! Oh my god, I'm bad at this game. But yeah, he seems like a nice guy. But it still rubs me the wrong way. The ESA is so willing to just sort of put that up pretty much at the expense of everyone else. It's like, I mean, if I was John, I can hardly blame John for going with it, because if a marathon let me fucking do whatever the hell I wanted with no oversight, I'd abuse the shit out of it too. I mean, fuck, ESA kind of does let me do it. Honestly, ESA is extremely permissive of my bullshit. They let me run The World Ends With You, and a Silent Hill game. They actually let me run possibly too much. I can't imagine it feels very good if you're the kind of, like, runner who gets all their games denied, but then I'm allowed to do 2 runs, and it's like, I wouldn't feel very good about that if the shoe was on the other foot. And in fact, I haven't felt very good about it the entirety of GDQ. I lost time because I'm bad. I like the hotfix. I do support the hotfix. I've tweeted before that I quite like the hotfix. The hotfix's content is eclectic, it's interesting, and it's different. It's honestly not the sort of thing I thought that GDQ would produce, but it's clear from that, you know, there are people involved in the production whose heart are still in it somewhat. I don't think that's quite right, Demonic. I think both prioritize popular streamers versus world record holders. I have like a whole video already made on this topic that I'm going to upload as soon as GDQ is done because I'm opportunistic like that. But if 2 people submit the same game to GDQ, they will take the world record holder. This is also the case with ES. This is the case with every... This is the case of every marathon, is that if you have 2 people who submit the same game, and one has a better time, the better time always takes precedent. There is no scenario in which it doesn't, because people would go fucking apeshit if they didn't. But the thing about that is that that's malleable, right? It's not as clear-cut as that, all that. Like, if you think, oh, it's just a meritocracy then, you know, just have the best time and you'll be good. It's not quite as simple as that, and it never has been as simple as that, and it never will be as simple as that. Because you can play games with it in ways that are unintuitive to the average viewer, but make perfect sense to me. Categories are one way of playing games with that sort of thing, but also just taking runs that don't have leaderboards. Like the crowd control Mario Maker blind race stuff, there's no leaderboard for those things, because they don't exist, because that's a stupid idea. So they just take whoever they think is good for that, so they can pretty much just pick whichever popular person they want to parade around for the duration of that non-speedrun. So you can play games with that. That's extremely not a merit-based, like, picking. They just pick it because that's... They offered it, and that's the thing they got. It's worth bearing in mind, though, you know, like, people offer these runs and then GDQ takes them. If I don't begrudge runners for submitting these things if they think GDQ will take them. This is a point that gets missed by a lot of people, by the way, because they think I'm shit-talking their specific, their run, their game, or their discipline. That's not quite right. I don't think anyone is bad for taking advantage of that. I do think people often lack any fucking self-awareness while doing so. No, pick up the book, Jill, no. Oh my fucking god. Christ. That was stupid. That's the first time that fucking spider hit me in the hot minute. And it, like, it totally killed my train of thought as well. I got hit by that spider and then my train of thought just stopped. This game is in Chinese. Chinese is faster. No, it's not. It's Chinese. I cannot read Chinese. If it was Japanese, I'd be able to read it. Wait for me to answer the question. I'm literate. Am I legally required to talk about the contents of my video? The thing, okay, the video is not a hot take, is the thing. In fact, I specifically constructed my video to not be a hot take. Is it a not take? It's a guide to GDQ submissions. A guide to how to create an appealing marathon submission. And I did it without the intent to critique the system. It's perfectly dry. There are some things in it that will inevitably sound like criticism because they highlight the inherent unfairness of the system, but it's not a video designed for the purpose of criticizing the process. That's a different thing. I'm writing that script. I wrote it as a sincere, honest, dry-ass guide to creating a more appealing GDQ submission. Even if, like, we're getting the 10 minutes of quick and another 50 minutes of fuck, just submit Zelda. Even though at the end of the day, that's technically not wrong. That script was in writing before this year's GDQ. You can tell. You can tell it was before this year's GDQ because I'm slightly less arsey. I contemplated making snide edits to it, but I'm just going to upload it as is. I agree, Drunk Warrior. My video actually contains that. I think the video is the least important part of the production of your submission. There's a line in the video where I say, the reason... What's the exact quote from my own video? I just rendered this. Where I say something like, just because Pokemon can get 4 hours of marathon airtime doesn't mean your run can. You have to realistically assess whether or not your run is capable of getting a 4-hour time slot, because most of them aren't. Not intended to sort of, like, make fun of Pokemon, but as sort of, like, a pointing out that you cannot hold yourself to equal standards because X game can do it. It can do that because it's that. You are not that. You have to adjust your expectations accordingly. That's true. It's dry, but it's true. I say that in that video. I then go on to expand by saying that the popular franchises exist in their own blocks that are relatively inflexible, is the thing that I said. Technically that's true, but I wrote that before they put 17 hours of fucking Zelda in the schedule.
Reaching 30% of pressure threshold.
Because that is not relatively inflexible. That is, in fact, ridiculously flexible. I still think it's good to treat your submissions like that, though. It's good mentally for you to think of it that way, even if it's not technically true. The point that the video makes, right, and that this point is true no matter how much Zelda there is that if you are not submitting a Zelda, you are not a Zelda, and you cannot hold yourself to Zelda standards. Which is to say that you will not get a 3.5-hour time slot unless you are you have a game that is extremely compelling. Like, that I think is a true and fair thing to say. The video is actually, like... I'm actually kind of glad that I wrote and recorded that video before GDQ started, and I'm uploading it after, because it makes it come across as shockingly measured. Like, I listened to that video now, and I'm like, wow, this is remarkably, like, even-tempered from me. Because I've been quite pissed this whole event. Director's cut. No, I think I would rather compile my thoughts into an entirely separate video. But you know, I get to join the contrarian engine of YouTubers who critique GDQ. Only I do it from a completely different perspective, because I am not a crazy person. Even though the thing is that, like, there are two schools of thought. One is GDQ is too corporate, the other is GDQ is too corporate, but, like, different. I got passive AI here, and that really sucks. It's funny, because, like, GDQ is too corporate when said by the wrong person means GDQ bans shitheads, and I hate that because I am also a shithead. But the thing is that I agree that GDQ is too corporate, but not for that reason. But because they are an exercise in branding. They are an exercise in, like, long-form branding that has now unavoidably and irreversibly shaped people's perception of an entire subculture of gaming pretty much solely for their own benefit. I think that's irresponsible. Much like corporations are in general. Never trust an American corporation. It's a good maxim for life. Oh, hell yeah. Dude, if I ever made a video that's, like, properly going over my thoughts on this topic, it would absolutely be peppered with that, like, stealth leftist propaganda shit. Because, again, it's basically just a critique of capitalism. It's not really much more complex than that. I didn't really bother to watch most of the task block. Here's the funny thing, right, about critiquing things, is that I very often have to view them to critique them. This is why I don't actually catch on to some of the shittier things GSA does, because I don't fucking watch them. GSA stands for Global Speedrun Organization. They do, like, tournaments and bad content and stuff, and they are shilled ridiculously hard by the guy who owned speedrun.com, which is quite obnoxious in its own sort of way. And they are probably the most blatant thing, like, example I can think of haha, we came here to make money. And it's like, you're not even subtle about it. They do really fucking sketchy things, like abuse the way Twitch's viewer system works by embedding their stream on a high-traffic webpage in order to generate, like, more on-paper viewers, but in reality chat engagement is super low. They do things like partner with a betting site, which is very morally dubious at the best of times. They do shit like partnering with a Russian content creator who blatantly steals runners' videos off of YouTube and re-uploads them in order to make money off other people's efforts, like a fucking scumbag. They partnered with him because they don't check shit. They just saw that he was popular and Russian and was sort of a speedrun guy. So they ran with it immediately. And, like, the only saving grace I have with that is that I think GSA's business model is a dead end. So, like, I don't really have to worry about it that much, because I sincerely doubt they're actually going to blow up that much. Because I think their model is fucking terrible. It's like, well, that's nice, at least. You are doomed to fail. What even is their model? They're sort of, like, trying to act like Smash tournaments, but don't quite know how Smash tournaments work. Oh, he moved so quickly. I did that wrong, and I totally got away with it. The reruns are also something that they inconsistently ask permission for. Sometimes they ask for permission, sometimes they don't. Cutely, they aired Silent Hill runs once and didn't air any of my runs because they'd have to ask me, and they wouldn't. To be fair, they skipped the part where they asked me for permission because I think they knew that if I asked them, I'd tell them to go fuck themselves. Which, you know, I would, to be fair. Hi, Mute Lava. So to be perfectly straight, if they ever asked me for permission to air my run, I would tell them to fucking pound rocks. GSA stands for Global Speedrun Association. They are a speedrunning adjacent entity that airs races and tournaments of speedruns, technically, but they really only do it for like 4 games, and they fudge their numbers so hard it's actually kind of cute. Oh my god. Fucking magnet hands, McGee. My camera angle is also just inhospitable. That was really weird. I mean, shit, I did commentary for the early days of GSA, like their Celeste tournaments, before I really, like, gained a strong idea of what it is that I wanted out of these sorts of things. But before I told them to go fuck themselves, basically. That was a bit tight. Oh, I hate this, I do. Except I don't hate this, actually. Haha, see you, bitch! I have told them to go fuck themselves, but I tell lots of people to go fuck themselves, so it's not really that special. Guys, I think you don't need a deep fryer. Deep fry these nuts! Bad streamer. I don't know, there's another sort of like speedrun tournament thing going on right now called the Surprise Speedruns Associate. I don't know if it has like an associative name, but it's just called Surprise Speedruns, where it's like every month they pick a random fucking game, literally picked by pressing random game on speedrun.com's page. There's a random game button on speedrun.com, if you didn't know that. And then they challenge themselves to race it, and the winner gets money. And it's like, that's cute. Wait, that was not the movement you want from that. It's not really my kind of thing. Thanks, game, for that, by the way. I mean, I like the spirit of it, at least, but... not so much the actual thing itself, because I'm not really, like, down to just sort of randomly race whatever. I'm very picky about what it is I like. There are only hot takes. Like, in this world, it's take or be taked. So that's just how it is. Fuck off, Will. The fucking grammar police are on my shit. Proper language is Borgwizis. I actually don't know how to pronounce that word. I'm officially that much of a twat. The one that you use in a sentence with proletariat. I actually don't know how to pronounce it. I know how to write it, but not pronounce it. I'm very smart. Being able to say words correctly is upper class. Fuck that. Bourgeois. Oh, fuck me. I swear that dodge just has thinner lines sometimes. It's remarkable that a lot of people think I'm like middle class from my manner of speaking. I am extremely not middle class. Rude. Boudoir. My opinions are very refined and articulate, thank you very much. I've clearly thought a lot harder about this than I think a lot of people have. That comes when you spent years doing this shit. Bourgeoisie. Bourgeoisie. Boogie 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 boogie. Look, I speak Japanese, not French, alright? I'm only high class and that I get schooled constantly. Bitch! Shut the fuck up. Boogity woogity. Yo, I fucked up because I'm bad. You want to combine items. Oh, it's outside the circle. I've made a huge error. We must overthrow the international boogity boogity. Boogity boogity boogity. I will destroy the boogity boogity speedrunners. Eat the Nintendo runners. Eat the rich. Eat me! I'm the 1% of streamers, somehow. Can you fucking believe that? Because that's like technically not even wrong. Don't get too close to me, you son of a bitch. That's wild, because it's like, it's not even wrong. I'm afforded significantly more, like, attention in this hobby than than is really warranted. But you know, whatever. Sure, I guess. So I got given it, doesn't mean I don't have to, like, I should not use it. I mean, I don't know. What the fuck am I supposed to do, really? I like streaming. I'm slowly chipping it away. Excellent. I'm slowly ruining everything. This breaks down a bit when you apply it to speedrunning, but yes. Better braised or slow cooked. I don't know what braised is. I'm British. I don't know how anything works with food. Oh, roasted. Okay. Well, I'm always being roasted, so I think it fits. Why are there owls in the bog? That's not a place for owls to be. People do overestimate a shit ton how much moderately popular. Like this, I could not turn this into a job in this state without severe difficulty. People think I would be able to do that. I would not. This, as of right now, does not consistently make that amount of money. Can I speak Japanese or just read it? A bit? Like a bit. I'm better at reading than I am at speaking it. As evidenced by the fact I gave that answer in English. Ah, why does the menu scroll one way? That's so lame. $329 times 2.5, I should point out. Twitch takes half. It is half as much as you think it is. In order to make making a living doing streaming is actually really fucking hard. Any suggested books for learning to read Japanese? I recommend books that are fun to read. I read a lot of Yotsuba To. Oh, you meant like a study guide. Sorry, I just read manga. I don't know, I didn't learn from a textbook. I'm self-taught. I think the best thing that you can read and do is actual source media. Read Japanese things. Watch things with Japanese subtitles if you can. Play old Nintendo games in Japanese, because they're very often, like, of the business of having simple language. Exactly, Watsu. I follow a lot of Japanese artists, and I actually read what they post. It seems like a lot of people learn English via games, so like I was like, why can't I do that with Japanese? And it turns out you can. You just have to be really dedicated to it. I also retweet a lot of Cinderace art lately because I like the big-eared bunny. Even though I'm never going to buy the Pokemon fucking DLC because I think it looks lame as hell. Pick up the flamethrower or I will die. But I like the bunny. See, I am okay with the concept of streaming full-time for a living is fraught with difficulty and volatility that I'm not sure I'm willing to shoulder at this point in time. But the base level concept isn't wholly unappealing to me. I'm like open to my life going in that direction. It is not in that direction right now. I'm just open to that. It is a real emote rake. I added it. I added it to my channel. Thank you very much for your service. Rake is the one who did the new emote, like, very spontaneously. He just posted a picture of it, and I was like, can I use that? It's like, okay, now we have it. So, well, why not, right? Like, I had the emote slots for it. I'm gonna commission an emote, by the way. I'm gonna commission an emote that is just an egg. I want egg. Every single time eggs are in a game, it seems to be like a thing. So I want one that's just an egg. No, just every single time we play a game and there's an egg in it in any remote capacity, it's just like, egg. So like, egg. Unfortunately, Treya, I have an emote artist who I'd like using for these sorts of things. Just to keep all of my, like, emotes in one consistent style. Although that being said, the Tama crops are not in a consistent style, but shush. I mean, they're consistent in the style of being from that game, on account of being a real fucking photo. Oh, why does the menu only scroll in one direction? Suck my dick. Fucking owls in my bog right now, dude. Bog. It's like Owlboy, but like fuck you. Owlbog. She started moving quickly. I don't like that. Ow. I can make do. That's not the greatest Lisa fight in the world, but that's workable. We can make do with that. I think bitch slapped sucked. Could have done without that. Nice menuing, genius. I don't like that. I don't like it, so I baited it. Mood. Whoa, Jill. Jill. She did that thing again that happened on one run where she aimed at the wall. Instead of the zombie. How do I menu? Oh my god, does this guy not know that the bog refers to the toilet? Does this guy not know? Does he not understand what the bog means? He does not know that owls are not supposed to be in the bog? Comedy is occurring. Being a twat. It's a colloquial English expression. Never heard of it? It's a colloquial, like, British English type of thing. I think Aussies also use it. Aussies, with it. Say it's the dunny. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah, owls aren't supposed to be in the bog. This is known information. Let's try with the grab. Ah, dunny for indoor toilets. See, now it's all becoming clear. Oh god, no, what? That confused me. Cool. And it has been dunked. Why's everyone talking shit about my ass? My ass is great. What are you talking? No, fuck you guys. I have an amazingly toned ass from all the DDR I play. Thank you very much. This is the ass of a man. The ass of a man who has PFC'd at 12. Fuck you guys. You know how tight your ass gotta be to PFC at 12? To be fair, P, right? The PFC, the 12 that I PFC'd was make it better, which does not really, it's like not a 12 really, but it's a 12. Why do you hate dancing games? They're good. Yeah, I was gonna say, you guys were, like, baffled that I did 2, like, 4-hour Ring Fit streams. It's like, why are you guys, like, shocked by that? I'm actually reasonably, like, physically, not necessarily fit, but I'm alright, right? Oh, dude, PFCing max 300 is, like, hard. It's a 15. Do you know how many people have PFC'd a 15? It's not very many. Like, PFCing a 15 puts you in, like, the top 0.1 percentile of people who play that fucking game. Oh god. No, dude, that's lame. One final fuck you from the game before we close this run out. Max 300 is a 15, yeah. Out of 20. Hey, well, out of 19. Rips the 15. Nah, we're probably fine, dude. I don't know if you've noticed how far ahead I am, but I'm really far ahead. Yeah, I'm really far ahead, dude. I just needed a halfway decent labs, and PB was, like, in the bag. And there you go. I guess I am glad I streamed today, because that was it. That's the run I wanted.
Jill, you did a fine job.
What? Lies! Discrepancy between the IGT and the split. 1 second off. Bullshit. Time for marbles, apparently. Fuck. Okay. Fuck you guys. Hang on, can I tweet my run first? Honestly, Jesus. 7th place. Yeah, that's pretty good.